All right, Jeremy, how you doing today? I see a bunch of folks coming in here on the participant list. How are you? How's
Great.
Atlanta?
It's good. It's cooling off here. A little lack of humidity, but yeah, maybe we're facing towards fall now and towards the end of the year, which of course is what we're going to talk about here.
Fantastic. Well, I was waiting just for a couple minutes here, but let's go ahead and get started. So, welcome everyone to our webinar today. This is, as I mentioned to Jeremy, my favorite time of year is we're looking at what's possible during our annual planning season as we begin to plan the upcoming year. So, this is all around using the discipline of RevOps to do your annual planning with confidence and making sure that you are setting achievable targets and appropriately resourcing your plan for success. So I'm Dana Marxer. I am the founder and CEO of ayeQ, and have Jeremy Sharp here with me today, our Chief Revenue Officer, who has lived and breathed this for decades. And we're excited to share with you our ayeQ approach for annual planning. So what we're going to cover today is the RevOps model-based planning motion, how we validate bookings targets based on our performance metrics, how you can run scenarios to make sure that you have optimized your resources across all the levers we have to pull in our growth function, and then what you can expect if you take this approach. So, Jeremy, I'm going to turn it over to you to share the good, bad, and ugly around planning season.
Yes, pressure cooker season. Yeah, it's a challenge, you know. This time of year, most of us feel like we're running two marathons at the same time, right? On the one hand, we're all scrapping and fighting to close out Q4. On the other, we're architecting next year's growth plan. So it's like you're having to finish a race strong while simultaneously mapping out the next one. I was with a CRO recently who said his board just handed him a 27% year-over-year growth number. No model, no rationale, just the number. And unfortunately, that's pretty much the reality for many of us. The challenge is without a structured way to validate targets or anything along the metrics or those growth plans, planning becomes a guessing game. And then that's what creates this sort of pressure cooker that we're all getting into right now.
Mm-hmm. Well, what's a better way to do it, Jeremy? Now that you've
Well,
experienced the RevOps approach.
great setup. I like to throw a quote in every now and again. So the French author Antoine de Saint-Exupéry once said, "A goal without a plan is just a wish." And I think everybody knows that if you want to get from A to B, you put together a plan and you make it happen. Otherwise, you're just sort of aimlessly moving around. And so think of planning as simple as building a house. You wouldn't start digging footings or buying materials without having drawings first, right? So if you think about it, in September, you're sketching out those blueprints with performance and tracking. And then by October, you should be testing different sort of designs with bookings, models, and scenario analysis. And then by November, you're locking in the actual construction plan, so those budgets and those capacities. And just to kind of put this in context, one of our customers, a $50 million ARR SaaS business, shifted from a reactionary Q4 scramble to this sort of structured motion where you think about it, jobs to be done in September, October, and November. And so instead of sort of board debates in December ruining your holidays, they had alignment in place by Thanksgiving. And that's really the power of using analytics and discipline at every stage.
Great, great. So a great setup for me, Jeremy, is you have to have the infrastructure to be able to succeed in this motion. And the critical components are being able to validate your bookings target. Is that 27% even within the realm of possibility? And if it is, how are we going to get there? Right? Are we going to get there just by our current performance metrics? Or do we have to pull some levers like sales productivity or marketing investment or headcount and capacity? Right? What are all the pieces that we have to have so that when you commit that 27% to the board, you're like, I can do that number, but my model tells me I'm going to have to invest in these particular areas so that we can pull these levers and hit that target. And that's where RevOps automation comes in. So
yeah, and this is where planning gets real, right? Most companies try to model bookings capacity and pipelines in good old spreadsheets, right? The duct tape of finance, right? If it needs fixing, just create a spreadsheet and put it together, and that will be the end of your problems. Well, it really isn't. It's actually the beginning, right? The problem is, it's like trying to fly a plane with last year's weather report or last week's weather report. By the time you've built that spreadsheet, conditions have changed. And so ayeQ automates that modeling in real time. It pulls in actual performance data, your bookings, your pipeline, velocity, stage, health, and then flags risks before you commit to a target. So, I'm having plenty of conversations about this right now with our customers, with our prospects. It's very near and dear to their heart. And one of our long-term customers, $25 million SaaS business, they used to wait until the end of the quarter to realize that they were behind on velocity. And then, of course, by then it's too late to course correct. So with ayeQ, they saw in Q1 that their conversion rates were slipping in mid funnel, and that early flag gave them time to adjust and coaching up their reps and the marketing mix. And then between all of that, they hit their annual target with confidence. So the idea is that, can you see incremental changes that need to be made far enough in advance to be able to make them change? And that's the difference between being surprised by turbulence versus having a dashboard that it tells you exactly when you need to adjust course.
And I love this webinar today because we're actually going to see how it works in practice in the tool. So introduce our audience to the platform, Jeremy, and then we'll hop in and show how this is done as in real world examples.
Yep, totally. And you're right. And this is how we do it, right? The ayeQ platform is essentially a KPI-driven operating system for growth. And it takes that messy, fragmented data from sales, from marketing, customer success, and finance, and it creates it into that single source of truth. So think of it like upgrading a cluttered garage full of tools to a well-organized workbench. Everything in one place, easy to grab, and built for action. And again, I was like, each of these things resonate with our customers or our prospects. So one CRO, he was telling me before ayeQ, they spent 3 days before every board meeting consolidating all of those numbers. And you can only imagine that the first day's numbers were out of date by the time they got to the third day, by the time they got to the board meeting. So nowadays with ayeQ, the board gets to see the same dashboard that they do. They get to see it real time. So instead of debating which of those numbers are right, they spend really their time discussing what actions they need to take to either course correct or to reach the number that they need to by the end of the quarter or by the end of the year. And that's really the power of RevOps automation. It's that sort of templated processes, unified intelligence, and directional guidance delivered immediately. And literally, you can press a refresh button and it is right there at the end of your fingertips. So if you're not waiting months to stand up a planning model. You're running with it on day one.
Yeah, and I'll just add to that, Jeremy, another beauty of RevOps automation, especially as we're on the brink of planning season, if not in the thick of it right now, is part of the beauty of RevOps automation is the platform itself is stood up quickly, right? So 15 business days, you have your entire infrastructure, instead of 12 to 18 months trying to do something in a BI tool. This is already pre-designed. So that's that. Am I ready for the planning season? Well, that's kind of the beauty of RevOps automation. And so now I get to hop over into the tool, and we're going to start really with this bookings validation. So when we look at our bookings predictions, we look by revenue stream. So all of our models in ayeQ are based on this concept of revenue streams, which is groups of opportunities that behave in the same way. If they have the similar sales velocity metrics like stage conversion rates and stage ages and deal size, then they can be modeled. And so that's part of this process is what's the path? How are we going to make money this year? What are our revenue streams? And when we do that and we put those revenue streams into our models, we immediately say, based on your current performance, this is what we predict you will make next year. If you want to make something different, if you want that 27% increase, where are you gapped? And can you close those gaps? So let's adjust some performance levels to see the impact. Can we improve conversion rates, cycle time, increase pipeline generation? So let's take a look at how we do this. So I'm going to hop over into the tool here. This is one of our dashboards that are used heavily in the planning season, which is our scenario analysis dashboard. And so what you have here, just orienting you to the layout of ayeQ dashboards, which are all built for particular use cases. All of our filters are down the left-hand side here. So all of these boxes are filters. You can select any one of those and the entire sheet is filtered on those dimensions. So we have our KPIs here across the top and then all of the detail and analysis below that. So on the scenario analysis dashboard, we have a bookings target for 2026. Let's say it's 23.92 million. That's the number we have handed us. And now our ayeQ, we've set up our revenue streams, we've configured our models, and ayeQ is predicting that you're actually going to hit 22.2. So what do we have to work with? Well, we can adjust our win rates. We can adjust our sales cycle length. We can look at pulling in some of the pipeline that ayeQ predicts will be close lost. We call that double-aged pipeline. If they're sitting in there, if you have opportunities sitting in their current stage longer than twice as long as our model target, we don't think that's going to be moving forward, and we discount that out of the pipeline. Maybe you can pull some of that in. And of course, pipeline size. A big component of the ayeQ prediction is what your current pipeline size is today. So I'm going to, if we look at our summary performance here, we can see all of the revenue streams that have been defined. You can see that, we've got revenue streams like our base platform for enterprise deals, new logos is very different than, say, our platform upsell. And we may have a series of different products, and we may have an analytics product, et cetera. So each of those have been modeled. Now, if we go down here and we look at our impact analysis, ayeQ is going to tell you exactly which of these levers is going to have the biggest impact on your revenue. So right now, based on our current scenario, if we can pull in some of our stuck deals, that's going to have the biggest impact. So let's go in and say, okay, well, maybe we can pull in 5%. All right, that gets us to 23.4. Not quite there. We're going to have to pull another lever. Now, what does our impact analysis say? Well, it says now that you've done that, the sales cycle length is the most important thing that you can change. Okay, let's go up and say, hey, can we shorten our sales cycle by, say, 4 days? That seems doable, and we're going to see if all of this stuff is doable here in a second. Okay, so now we've decreased that by 4 days. And now we're very close. 23.79 is the scenario prediction on a bookings target of 23.92. What should we adjust next? Pipeline size. Okay, well, how much pipeline size do we need to, how do we need to adjust pipeline size? Well, let's say we adjust it 1% up. That's it. That's all we need to adjust, and we have gotten to a scenario where we hit our bookings target. So what does this impact? Hey, we need an additional 5 SQLs and a marketing budget, implied marketing budget based on the cost per SQL of about $12,000. That really seems doable, and those are the levers that we have to pull to hit our bookings target.
Yeah, I think what's really cool and powerful about what you just showed us is the model isn't just saying yes or no binary or hit or miss binary, right? It goes to those next few layers deeper, and it shows you where the gaps are or what you can do to fill the gap. And I think that's for executives who are constantly being faced with challenges. This is so much better than just a binary blank sheet of paper. You're going to miss your number. Now it's up to you to go figure out how to hit it. So this suggestions, these permutations and combinations that you're trying to get there, these levers are realistic, right? I mean, each of these, nothing seems to be out of the scale of science, where you've slid the bar so far that it, we can't just change our win rate from where it is and magically turn it to 20%. Otherwise, we were doing something wrong for a long time. So these sort of incremental changes, and it's a mixture of these incremental changes that are really something that go from you being handed down that number to you saying, okay, this number I can actually do, and I have a plan to get there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think it's, if you look at the win rate, why is ayeQ saying the model win rate isn't something you should look at? One thing you can see right here is last year it was 28.2, right? Yeah. So we've already got a model that's ahead of our past performance, and that's why ayeQ is picking that up and saying, try the other pieces. So if you think about how much faster it is to figure out how do we need to resource to get our number, this is huge, and it puts our customers in a good place to be successful. So I'll go on and say, okay, now we're working on this storyline. We see that we want to pull an aged pipeline, we want to reduce our cycle time a bit, and then we want to look at pipeline size, and we'll get to marketing here in a second. But can we improve our sales productivity? So let's take a look at how we do that in ayeQ. I'm going to hop over to a different dashboard here that shows our model performance. And what you're looking at is the sales velocity components. So we've got, what is the average stage age? These are all of our sales stages. What is the average stage age in our current performance? So the column is current performance, which we are tracking all the time. And the line is the model target. So immediately we can see that we have some bottlenecks in ages. We have the same graph for conversion rate by stage, our deal size, how we're tracking, whether we have enough deals per stage, and what is our trend in sales velocity. So what is sales velocity? This chart has by revenue stream showing you dollars per day, right? So I can see the most important components of my revenue stream just by dollars per day, and whether these revenue streams are improving in their performance or they're struggling. So if I choose this particular revenue stream, which looks like the largest component of my revenue, I choose that revenue stream, and I can see all of its velocity metrics filter by that revenue stream. So now we're looking at this platform SMB new. So this is our new logo revenue stream in the small to medium business market segment. And we can see our alerts over here. We see we have bottlenecks in stage 2 and 3. Well, that's pretty obvious. I see my stage age here in stage 2 and stage 3, and my current stage age is significantly higher than goal. We have some bottlenecks here, and you can see down here in those same 2 stages, these deals per stage, we have a lot of deals per stage, but they're not moving. That's our problem. And so now we know where to focus to get these performance adjustments. Our deal size over here, it's trending a little bit down, but it's still above target, but that's something to watch. Now, I love to use this dashboard to validate our ayeQ's model on pipeline aging. So I'm going to use this filter over here, and I'm going to say, what does this look like for all the deals that are eventually closed won? And so I've chosen closed won. And you can see that for all the opportunities that are eventually won, this is their velocity. Obviously, every stage is 100% closed because they were closed won, but look at this age. And so when we say ayeQ is discounting these deals that are sitting in their stage twice as long as model target, it's because those opportunities have a very low probability of close. So now we think about, okay, well, let's look at our deals and look at our pipeline aging, right? We said we wanted to include 5% of our aged pipeline. I'm going to go over here to our sales dashboard, and I'm going to look at pipeline hygiene. And so I still have this revenue stream selected. We're still looking at this platform SMB new. And we can see that in that revenue stream, 92% of that revenue stream is stuck in stage. That is a huge risk. If I want to look at those opportunities that are stuck in double-aged, we call it double-aged pipeline, they're in their stage twice as long or more as the model target, then I can filter on those deals and I can see exactly who owns those deals. So this rep by far and away is the biggest offender here on the stage aging. And you can see where that stage aging is in each particular sales stage. And then you have all of the detail coming down below that. So we have what levers do we need to pull, and then where do we need to focus to make sure we can hit those lever improvements?
Yeah, and I think this will resonate with any sales leader that I know. Pipeline bloat, stuck deals, subpar, slow velocity. This is really where sort of the data and the science is going to drive the art. And the art of sales leadership, sales management, the best ones are coaches. They're the ones who jump in and they've recognized that something isn't working correctly. And what ayeQ can do is pinpoint where a problem lies, whether it's an individual, whether it's a process, whether it's part of the machine that isn't working correctly. And I think, for example, in here, if something's stuck in stage 2, and you can find everybody's stuck in stage 2, then there's something wrong with the process. If you find that certain individuals are stuck in stage 2, then it's a chance for jumping in, rolling up the sleeves and being that coach, right? And it's saying, Bob, I really want to help you through this, and go and listen to some call recordings and see where things are going off the tracks and get them back on the tracks. And I think when you look at all of this and you're being able to see exactly where the productivity breaks down, it lets you then focus on that coaching and investments exactly where you need to be able to move the needle.
Yeah, and I think that's super important. Again, we talk about RevOps automation speeding up and supporting the process where you no longer are spending all of this time trying to figure out how to piece together the data. You're actually looking at the results of the data and being able to see where you should focus to have the greatest impact. And you're constantly problem solving instead of data chasing.
Yeah.
So I want to just hop over a bit for our marketing folks on the call. One of the things that we said we needed to improve was we needed to improve our pipeline size, and marketing owns a significant portion of that goal. So how can we hit our contribution targets? Is it more MQLs? Is it MQL conversion rate? So I'm going to hop over to another dashboard here that is purpose-built for scenario analysis. So this dashboard is very similar to the booking scenario analysis that we just went through. We have a contribution target for marketing of 70 million. So marketing is responsible for adding $70 million in deals to the pipeline during the course of the year. So ayeQ is predicting right now, based on current performance, that marketing is going to add 63.75 million. So we're shy there. What levers can we pull? We can pull our conversion rate of MQLs. We can pull our conversion rate of SQLs. We can pull the lever of the count of MQLs, adding more MQLs to the pipeline. And one thing that I love is being able to put in deal size, because these scenarios are very collaborative across marketing and sales, right? So changing the deal size will absolutely change the required count of opportunities. If you have a larger deal size, you don't need as many opportunities to hit that bookings number. So let's take a look at our current year metrics. Right now, here's the number of MQLs we have year to date. And right now we're sitting at a 15.1% conversion rate. So that's just about where we are at model target. But if we look over here at the number of SQLs and how many have positively converted, we're sitting at 71.8%, not 85%. So we're going to have to improve that SQL conversion rate. And let's say we can improve it, 5 points. Say we improve it 5 points, so now we're sitting at 77. Okay, so we know we're not at the 85, we're at 72. So if we can improve it 5 points, we're actually going to be at 77%. Now our scenario predicted is well under our contribution target. So that SQL rate is really, really going to hurt marketing's ability to achieve that contribution target. So where can we fill this gap? Let's increase our MQL count. How far do we have to increase our MQL count? We're going to have to increase it by 1,000 MQLs, or 20%, to actually be able to hit our contribution target. That is asking a whole lot of marketing. But what if we can improve our deal size? What if we can take our deal size from 100,000 to 110,000? Then we don't need that many MQLs. We actually only need to move that down to 450. Now that's doable, and we're going to hit our contribution target. 70.32 is what we're predicting in that scenario on a contribution target of 70 million. So now I know exactly what I need to do. We need to look at this SQL conversion rate, what's happening in that part of the process, and I need to produce 450 more MQLs, and I'm in lockstep with sales, and they're going to try to increase our deal size by 10%. Yeah. So how do I get more MQLs? Well, then you start going into all this analysis around different channels, different campaigns, what your MQL trigger campaigns are, to optimize your budget to get to more MQLs. So a lot that I just went through. Jeremy, can you synthesize that for our...
Well, I like how this closes the loop. Too often, and still today, marketing and sales debate whose fault pipeline is. And it's I don't know, maybe it's a yin and a yang thing. But I think with this view, you can clearly see whether it's a demand gen issue or a conversion issue. And if you put it in the hands of data, then it's nobody's fault. What it is, it's an opportunity for sales and marketing to work together. And realistically, I wouldn't think of it as sales and marketing any longer. It's go-to-market, right? That's an entire department that happens to have sales and marketing within it. And really, this challenge should be shared by them. And the way that you just described it, with a little piece from here and a little piece from there, that's how we overcome that problem. And if it means we have to put a little bit more on the top, but we also have to close a little quicker, or we have to have a higher average order, nothing seems insurmountable when you look at it that way, just with those little tweaks. But had you, old-fashioned saying, we just need more deals at top of funnel. I mean, I still hear that today on prospect calls. We just need more top of funnel. And that may not necessarily be the right or the wrong answer. It may be partially correct, but it may not be wholly correct. And I think, this sort of being able to adjust those small targets, it's so much better to work together instead of sort of finger pointing, as it seems to always be.
Yeah, and this is definitely talking about that go-to-market alignment. It is a give and take, right? It's, how much, okay, it's a pipeline generation issue, but is it realistic to get 20% more MQLs? And if we do, how much budget is that going to require, right? And so it's an optimization piece that the process through which aligns the team directly. So it's really interesting. And Jeremy, I know you've seen this too, is how the culture changes when there's this type of alignment and visibility into, hey, it's all a trade-off. How can we do this together? So just progressing down our storyline here, we know that we're going to have more pipeline that we need to build. We have a pretty good growth goal ahead of us. Are we staffed correctly? Do we need more reps? How many reps? When should we hire those reps? What does our model require? And so just hopping over to our capacity planning model, again, the ayeQ is bringing all of these components of the growth function in go-to-market together because they all connect with each other. So if I hop over here to our capacity planning, we may have, we have our revenue streams here. We may have different types of reps. So we may have mid-market reps and enterprise reps. We know how many deals each rep can handle based on the revenue stream. So our enterprise reps are going to take the enterprise revenue streams, mid-market are going to take the mid-market revenue streams. And then we're going to hire based on the requirement. So if we open up our performance reference here, we can see that in enterprise new logo, we have this target, right? This is what the model is saying. We have how many deals we have to manage in each quarter, which tells us how many sales reps we need. Interestingly, we also have the ability to use the actual or projected. So we have a model target, but we also have the ayeQ projection of how many deals are going to be in the pipeline based on our prediction algorithm. And so we hear a lot of, I don't want to hire my reps and have them idle. I want to hire the reps just in time to handle the pipeline that we have in place. And so that's this powerful way of looking at how do we hire. So if you look down here at our capacity output, you see our mid-market reps and you see how many are required and when we believe we should hire these reps. Now, if we change this to actual projected, you see that in this case, we should actually be hiring uh, reps earlier because we're going to have more pipeline for them to handle based on the projections. Now, if you look over here at the enterprise reps, if we were hiring according to target, we would be hiring 5 in February. But if we want to hire to the actual state of the pipeline, we only need to hire 3 in February, and then we can push some of those other hires out to later in the year. So this is super, super helpful in making sure that we're resourced appropriately. And if we are, what does that imply for quotas across these different reps? And this is all calculated for you. So Jeremy, comments on capacity planning.
Well, I think this is where boards and executives usually panic, right? It's headcount. It's probably the most expensive resource that we have, right? And it's costly to hire. Not just in the fact that we're paying them salaries, we sometimes pay recruitment fees, but the time involved to go through the hiring. And then the second, probably most costly resource we have are either the resources sitting there doing nothing, and everybody's under capacity, or the other side where they're wasted leads, right? We've got too many to handle, and people, we're losing business, and that loss of business is probably the second most expensive resource that you've got than idle hands. And so this is sort of grabbing from the manufacturing book, that sort of just-in-time delivery, where you would see raw materials delivered to a car manufacturing plant just as they need them. They didn't need to hold them in a warehouse and pay the fixed costs of a warehouse. You just needed it to be delivered just as you start to manufacture. And I think that's really what we are getting at here, is with that anticipated lead quality velocity coming through, and you combine that with the hiring time, the onboarding, and then any kind of minor ramp that you might need. What we're trying to do is erode that ramp as much as possible so that, as soon as possible, they are producing. And I think that sort of, the beauty here is, instead of arguing over sort of arbitrary quotas and things like that, you can see exactly how many reps are needed. What is the mix of the roles, right? Because you don't always necessarily need an enterprise sales rep. You sometimes need another BDR or an account manager. And then what productivity assumptions sit underneath. So it takes all of that guesswork out of the capacity planning.
Yeah, and I think as you see how all of these components fit together, we've shown you, just the top of the iceberg as far as the power of RevOps automation supporting the planning process. But Jeremy, sum this up. We've seen all these components across bookings validation, across improving sales productivity, across optimizing marketing resources, and planning our headcount. Why does it matter?
Well, I think at the end of the day, planning isn't about building a pretty model. It's about 3 things. It's about alignment, efficiency, and predictability. And to sum this up, I was talking with a CEO. So I talked to a lot of CROs and a lot of CMOs, but CEOs we work with as well. And he said our board finally has confidence that we're managing with that sort of discipline, because he said we can show the why behind the targets, not just the what. And I think that's a really important piece to think about. That's what this approach unlocks, right? It's predictability and forecasting, faster ramp times for new reps, confidence that your marketing dollars are actually driving return on investments, which means lower cost of customer acquisition. And most importantly of all, I think everybody gets it, from the exec team to your board, and everybody's singing on the same hymn sheet, as it were.
Yeah, it's really an artful process, and it's a fun one. Again, now you know why this is my favorite season, because I'm definitely a data and modeling geek, and it's really fun to see these processes come together. So we have a few minutes left. Just looking at the watch here, unfortunately, we just have a few minutes. But if you have any questions, please enter them into the dialogue box there. And if we don't get to your questions, we will follow up later. But happy to answer anything that you want to put in that box. I've seen a couple coming across, Jeremy, that I'll entertain in these last few minutes. One is, how much historic data do you need to get started with modeling? And so what we showed I'll take that one, Jeremy. We showed in our demo examples our ability to do the predicted amounts based on historic data, but you don't have to have actually any historic data to start to do this modeling. We have a lot of benchmarks across different industries and different solution areas, so that we can kind of put a best guess into a model, and then we can apply your current pipeline metrics, and we can come up with the initial model. So the answer is zero, but historic data is always great for validation, and of course, when we turn on analytics, we're able to start tracking those metrics very, very quickly. So here's another question, Jeremy. I'll give this one to you. If we already have bookings targets for next year, can we use the modeling now?
Absolutely. In fact, that's probably one of the most common use cases. Teams come to us with board mandated numbers, and they want to validate if it's achievable. I mean, that's like, there's nothing better than saying, hey, we're going to build a house twice as big as what it is today. Can you help me put together the plan as to how it's going to be achievable within this budget? I mean, that's totally what we see. We see adoption at different stages of the year towards ayeQ, and planning is a massive one, right? You want to know that when you sign up for the number, it's achievable. Nobody wants to fail. Nobody wants to miss their number. Nobody wants to miss their bonus, right? And so you also don't want to just flippantly say, we can't make it. Boards don't want to hear that. So between the two, you want to be able to say, we've got a plan to get there. I can sleep easy at night because we can follow the plan. And the board is happy because they said, we need that 27% increase. And these guys came back with something that was realistic and achievable. So yeah, totally.
Fantastic. Okay, I know that we're just about at time here. I'm just going to take there was one question around what systems ayeQ integrates with. And so just quickly, our usual systems are the CRM and marketing automation systems. We often also integrate with financial systems to get that full spectrum of SaaS B2B KPIs, like lifetime value and customer acquisition costs and those types of KPIs. And we also look at the performance of different sales productivity tools, like SalesLoft and Gong, and looking at ABM tools like Terminus and 6sense, and customer success tools like ChurnZero. We integrate with all of these things because what we're bubbling up at the strategic level is what is working and what's not working. So there's a lot there. We really focused this particular presentation on the functionality around annual planning. But those are the systems that we integrate with, and it's across the board. We're CRM, marketing automation, financial system agnostic. So as we wrap up here, you can see on the screen a couple ways to to talk to us, our RevOps advisors would love to have a discussion with you around looking at your growth plan health check and where you are in the process. So we certainly invite you to book some time with us, visit our website, or reach out, and we'll have somebody reach out to you. So Jeremy, thanks, and thanks everyone for your time today. We hope it was insightful and productive. Have a great rest of your day.
Bye.